Hi, thanks so much for joining me for another edition of 15 Minutes with Father Greg. As always, thanks so much for submitting your questions about our Catholic faith. I really do enjoy receiving them, and I hope to get to as many of them as possible as soon as possible. So thanks very much. And you can always submit questions by following the link to the Google Doc below this video and submit your questions. Just a warning before I get into what I'd like to discuss this week. This is one of those more sensitive topics that we sometimes discuss. So right now, if you're watching this video with some little ones around, you may want to hit the pause button and at some point watch this video on your own and then decide who in your family you may want to have watch this, or for that matter, not watch this at this time. So just a little warning there before we get into it. Today, as I post this video, it is Friday, January 22nd, which is a rather somber day in American history, a truly somber day for many, many Americans, especially us in the Catholic family. And that is, it is the anniversary of the decision of Roe v. Wade from 1973, the decision by the Supreme Court at the time to legalize abortion countrywide, to lift any regulations of abortion. And ever since then, millions of lives have been ended through the terrible action of abortion. Now, I know as soon as we hear the word abortion, it can set off fury on both sides. Those who are adamantly against abortion, those who are adamantly pro-choice. But I just want to, in a very calm setting, I'm sitting here in my chapel at the rectory, to be able to talk about it from a Catholic perspective in a calm fashion. And in my nearly over 12 years of priesthood, whenever this topic has come up, I've learned over time to be calm. Not that I'm any less zealous than others, but because it can be such an emotional topic. I'm sure many, as you're watching right now, you may have experienced abortion firsthand, or someone in your family, maybe a spouse, a significant other. So I realize the emotions that this topic can bring up. And I just want to take a few moments to discuss this really important issue, not only from a Catholic perspective, but from my perspective as a priest who served in parishes as well as a college chaplain. And I've, in every year of my priesthood, had this discussion or helped people who are struggling to either understand the Catholic Church's teaching or who themselves are struggling with an unplanned or even unwanted pregnancy. So just a few points. The first is, some may say, well, what's the big deal? Why are we still harping on this? Why is this still such a problem? And the truth of the matter is that the Catholic Church and many, many other religious organizations and people of goodwill are adamantly zealous about the right to life. That is, we are about the dignity of the human person in every phase of its life, from the moment of conception until it dies. And so we are adamant about promoting the dignity of human life. Why? Because we believe that every life is a gift from God. We also believe that part of God's design for the human family is that we are made in His image and likeness, that we share a particular grace, unlike any other facet of creation. Even our pets and nature and all the beauty of the world, the pinnacle of God's creation is the human person, because we are made like God. We're able to be creative, to think, to reason. We're able to invent and explore. It's part of our DNA. We share many of the qualities of God, not in their fullness and certainly not to perfection. Nevertheless, we share in that dignity made in the image and likeness of God. So for us, it is a very big deal. Some people will say, well, abortion is a pro-life issue to be sure, but there are so many other issues that also need to be addressed. Poverty, the climate, and environmental protections, those who are homeless, and all the rest of those issues that often get umbrellaed under pro-life activities, pro-life movements. And understandably so, because we do want to protect the dignity of all life from the moment of conception through all its phases in life, all the way until someone passes into eternity. So we sometimes set up for ourselves these options. Well, are we going to welcome and protect the immigrant, or are we going to feed the hungry? Are we going to house the homeless or protect the unborn? Are we going to, and we have these options. But in a modern society as ours, it is certainly within our capacity to do all of these simultaneously. It's not a matter of choosing which issue has to be our central focus. That is, we can do a variety of things at once. We're able to attack all of these issues head on to try to bring greater dignity and alleviate suffering. So we're able to do many things at once. And because sometimes we lump all of these issues together, and they are all important, we sometimes think that they are equally important. And that's where I and many others take issue. Yes, welcoming the immigrant is important. Alleviating the suffering of those who are homeless, those who are hungry, is absolutely important. Education, healthcare, all really important issues. Wealth, inequality, and helping those who are struggling financially, absolutely essential. But the right to life is most fundamental. Because, again, in my view, how can we talk about the best way to approach economic strategy or healthcare or poverty? How are we able to attack any of those issues if we can't even begin to agree on the fact that we have the right to be, that we have the right to be alive at all? Again, go back to that fundamental principle. Each of us is willed by God. Each of us is held in the mind of God and then made manifest in our conception. If we can't agree on the basic right for someone to be alive, how then can we discuss how to treat that person throughout the course of his or her life? The issue of abortion is absolutely essential. It's the preeminent issue of all pro-life issues, of all issues that deal with the way people are treated. There have been great figures in this movement, and I think of one in particular, Saint Mother Teresa of Calcutta. You know, when she received the Nobel Peace Prize some decades ago, she was invited, of course, to give a speech. You'll be hard-pressed to find that speech online. It does take a little bit of searching and all. And that's because here at this moment of receiving the highest honor for her work towards ending suffering, ending pain, working to promote peace and charity throughout the world, she took her few moments in that great scene of receiving this award to discuss abortion, because she felt that if we cannot even welcome, love, and respect the most innocent, truly the ones with no voices, then how else could we ever attack all of the other issues, the great injustices throughout the world? I look to someone like her for a tremendous example and as a model. So we have to remember that while we have all of these issues to tackle each day as a society, in government, and even as families, the right to life has to take central place in that discussion. Another really important point that I'd like to make, again, in my 12 years of priesthood, I've spoken to a lot of women who have struggled with this issue, who have struggled with this personally. I know women who have had abortions and are very proud of them. I know a lot more women who have had abortions and deeply regretted them, often years and years, maybe even decades afterwards. We have an obligation as a church, as society, to assist women who find themselves in the position of an unplanned or even unwanted pregnancy. And we also have to offer assistance to those who have experienced abortion. Again, in my priesthood, I've been involved with all these different facets, and there are incredible resources available, many of which I'm proud to say are promoted by the Catholic Church. Sometimes we get bashed for only caring about those who are unborn. And then after that, we don't really care. Nonsense. The Catholic Church stands shoulder to shoulder with all those who are in need. Helping women facing unplanned pregnancy is crucial. We cannot approach with being judgmental, with finger wagging, with lecturing, but with a deep sense of compassion, which is precisely how Jesus approached those who were lost on their way in life. He approached them in compassion. He approached them with gentleness and with the truth, and something sparked within them to heed his words, to change their lives, to change their minds. I think that's the posture we need to take when talking to women who are faced with this really difficult choice, as well as their families, who sometimes might be pushing them one way or the other. We need to be a support to families who find themselves at this most tender moment of making truly life-altering choices. I've also had the privilege of working with women who have experienced abortion directly, as well as men who have assisted in that action. There's a great program called Project Rachel, which is active in, I'd say, virtually the entire United States of America. They help women and men to heal from the wound of abortion. Maybe if you're watching this right now, you know deep down that you or a loved one could use that healing help. Below this video, there are links to the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. That is the umbrella organization of all the bishops throughout our nation. They have some tremendous resources there, including links to Project Rachel. There's also other fact sheets that you can check out that talk about this issue in greater detail. I find that a lot of people simply don't know much about it, beyond the broad strokes that some are for, some are against. But let's talk about why we are against this heinous action of taking the life of the most innocent. And what are we doing to help women who find themselves in that position? It's important for us to remember the fundamentals. Some are pro-choice. They believe that you can choose who lives, who doesn't. There's also the pro-life movement, which recognizes that life begins at the moment of conception. In that amazing gift of God, in our biology and physiology, something dramatically alters within a woman at the moment of conception. A new life is born. A new life comes into existence. It's our responsibility as Catholics, as citizens, to ensure that we do everything within our power, within our influence, with our voice, with our vote, with our hearts, to protect those who are most vulnerable at every stage of life, and most especially those who are unborn. Again, I know that this topic can raise emotions, so please reach out to your parish priest if you have any questions. Of course, I'm always here to help if you're in this area. Follow the links below and get more informed, find out more resources, because together we need to become more pro-life, from womb to tomb, in every facet, so that we might recognize our own dignity as made in the image and likeness of God. Thanks so much for joining me. As always, please submit your questions. Be sure that you're subscribing to all our social media, and maybe share this video with those you think might enjoy it, to share in our work of evangelization. Until next time, God bless you and your families.